Hi guys, BuildZoid here, and today what we're going to be taking a look at is how to mod memory timings on AMD GPUs where BIOS modding is still supported. So like not on a Vega or anything like that, because we obviously can't mod memory timings on those. So first what we're going to do is we're going to run some 3D Mark and just show you why you would want to do this. This is mostly for benchmarking at this point because, well, unless your daily system has like an RX 570 or an RX 580, 590, you know, that kind of card. This really isn't that useful these days because all of the Vega cards have locked down BIOSes, so you can't do anything on those. And where was I going with that? Yeah, so Vegas have locked down BIOSes, and this is basically relevant for like 7000 series up until like HD7000 up until what is it? Polaris. Yeah. So there. So up until like the RX 590. So anyway, we're just gonna apply a basic overclock here, and I'm just gonna like, because the goal here is to show you why it is that you have to be why you would worry about this, and primarily the main use for this is like if you're benchmarking competitively on like hardware bot. So that's why we're just gonna run some Firestrike. I'm just going to go through GT1 and GT2 because those are the GPU tests. We don't really care about we don't care about physics and combined. So we're just going to run through that. And then we're going to run through them again, except I'm going to raise the memory clock, and we're going to I'm going to raise the memory clock very little, and we're going to lose a ton of performance, or at least that's what's supposed to happen. I'm not sure that we'll actually get that, but that is supposed to be what we will be seeing. So, yeah. And then we're going to fix it by tweaking the memory timings, because essentially what's going to happen is the way memory timings are implemented on GPUs is they're essentially like a set of timings for any given speed. So if you're between sort of like 1250 megahertz and 1500 megahertz, you have one set of timings. And then when you go over 1500 megahertz, you get a different set of timings up until like 1625. And then at 1625, you get another set of timings, which is even looser. And that one goes up until like 1750 or something. And then at 1750, there's another set of memory timings. So you basically have these like steps in the memory timing table. And the issue with these steps is obviously if you go from from like 1500 megahertz tight to 1520 megahertz loose, you lose a bunch of performance because you've not made up for the massive change in timings with your frequency. So that's kind of what we're going to be rectifying. And on a lot of other GPUs, it's not as much of an issue, but still throwing changing the timings around can give you some extra performance. So that's kind of the point of this whole thing. There we go. Now I'm just going to hit escape so that we don't run the extra tests. And so we get like 8,600. That's low. Oh, we're only at 1160. Right, because I was just benchmarking this card earlier, and I'm used to seeing like 8,800 there, and it's like, oh yeah, we're down by 60 megahertz from that. So anyway, so we're now at 8,620. I'm now going to raise the, and if you're wondering why I'm not doing anything to the power limit, this is that card where I chopped off the VRM communications to the GPU core. So, yeah, and we're just going to bump it up to like 1525. Essentially that means there's no power limit on the card anymore, but there is OCP. Well, no, there is still a power limit because the voltage regulator was shut down if you overload it, but there's no sort of software power restrictions. Anyway, so at this point we should be seeing an even lower score than 8,600, ideally. So I'm going to know if this worked out roughly at this spot, because this is where you get Yeah, it looks like we lost a couple FPS, maybe. No, still not 100% sure, but... The previous score was like 8,600. And now we might be looking at like 8,400 or something like that. At least that's what I'm hoping for. And that's the end of the benchmark. Yeah, so actually we got exactly what I was hoping for. So we scored, 200 points lower, and on a card this slow, 200 points is not margin of error. That's a big deal, right? If we were on a faster GPU where you're getting like 20K, then plus minus 200 points doesn't matter. But on a card that's putting out barely, not even 9,000, plus minus 200 points is quite significant. So we've lost score here because of the memory timings. So now we're going to fix our memory timing issue. And this is super easy these days because GPU-Z has added a feature which allows us to do, we go to the advanced tab here. So we can check a whole bunch of things, like we can check ASIC quality, and that actually seems to be, well, it's not amazingly high, but it's not terrible. But we can also check things like memory timings. And so first we're also going to check that we have GDDR5 LPDA. So this card comes with LPDA memory. LPDA was later on bought by Micron. So these days you won't see LPDA anymore because they're Micron. So here we can see our memory timing straps. So that's what we have here. So we're just going to copy that, and I'm just going to bring up Notepad because there, and that's 1750 megahertz. And so basically what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take our 1375 timings and we're going to want to put them into all of our higher speeds than 1375. So I'm going to do that. That's not that. That's not what I wanted. So, oops. What the hell? Copy. I don't really have enough desk space, so that's why it's taking me so long. I can't fit my hand on the keyboard right now. So, yeah, so we have our 1375 timings, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab ATI flash. We're going to back up the BIOS. So the script I use for that is just that. Anyway, run as admin. I go back up BIOS. If you're on a Hawaii card and you run ATI flash, it's going to take forever. Just going to put that out there. And looks like, yeah, that was quick. So yeah, that's why we're not doing this on like a 290X or something, because you can do this on a 290X. It's just that it takes a month. Because I'm not sure why, but it's like the 290X has something weird going on with like on GPU communications. So ATI flash has to wait for like the driver to give it enough space to copy the BIOS. And so we have a backup of our BIOS at this point, so we're going to make it twice. We're going to rename this one to, well, because of the script that I use for flashing, we're just going to name it BIOS. So yeah, because that's what it requires. All right. So we're going to rename our copy to BIOS. And we're going to open it in a hex editor, which I like to use HXD because it's free. I'm going to throw that in there. And we get this horrible mess. So at this point, we're just going to grab a chunk of this. And actually, we're also going to edit our version number here. So right here, you get your version string. You can edit that so that you can keep track of if the BIOS has flashed or not properly. And also, we should close GPU-Z for when we're flashing. Anyway, what should I name it? should I name this BIOS? There. That's a perfectly valid version string. So, there we go. And now we're going to do a search, and we're going to do hex values, because this is actually, like, what you get from GPU-Z is hex values. So we're going to punch that in there. Why is that not working? I should have been working. Am I dumb? Actually, no, that's a given. I am dumb, but why isn't that... That should come up. Where's the delete key? There it is. Do you mean can't find? So that it finds, but... Are you joking? Okay, wait. I'm just gonna grab the BIOS again. Because that is really weird. It might be because I still had GPU-Z open. HXD. Gonna throw that in there. No, damn it. Nope, that's the same. The hell? I am very confused. Okay, well, we'll do it the other way. Grab a calculator. We're gonna go to programmer. Why is this so big? This is stupid. There. Okay, so now we're gonna go 137500. And that is 1C9. Oh, it might be because of that, I guess. So, yeah. Anyway, why do I keep closing the HXD? I'm dumb. Anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. It's been a while since I last did this. Forget a lot of things. So we'll still edit the version string, and this point, what we should be looking for is... Wait. Damn it. 13775500. There, and we should be searching for, because there's like a conversion that you have to do into... Thank you. There's a conversion that you'd have to do to translate it into computer, which goes like... So that would actually be like 1C1902. Right? Yeah. I do. Are you you piece of crap! Why didn't you find that when I was looking for it? Okay, but this might be, that's 01, so we're just gonna go F3 again, 02. Okay, so now we're gonna copy our, so, yeah, so you see that 0249F0? That's not part of the string we want to copy, so we're gonna copy that out, and, I just want to check that we found the right... Alright, I forgot it does that. I mean, there's not that many values, so... We can do edit. Okay, wait. I have a better idea. There. There. And now we can run a find and replace. Replace, find what space, replace with nothing. Replace, 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 replace. Yay, see, so we can quickly crush it down. And they're different, so... That is rather concerning. Did I overcopy? The ending is the same. So that's okay, now I'm confused. Like, that is a timing strap. I'm just not sure which memory it's for. So if we go to advance, and we look at 1375 Hynix, no, because 1375 Hynix ends in 14, that ends in 11, so... This not proper... Did this not copy properly? Because that's 33, 11, 7... There is less zeros in that. Wait, if I add all the zeros back in... No, it still doesn't align. Okay, so that's interesting. So the values in GPU-Z aren't complete. That's fun. But still, it does simplify finding... Oh, that might also be why I didn't want to... Okay, well... Yeah, that may explain a lot. But anyway, so that there is our timing strap, because if you look... Because, like, these three values right here are our frequency that the strap applies to, and then all of the values after that are the frequency. I mean, are the actual timings themselves, except this part right here, which basically identifies which memory it's for. So, like, that 02 tells us it's LPDA, but normally I just check which straps are, like, which straps match from GPU-Z. So that's kind of annoying that this didn't work out properly, but still, now we can just go grab that. And we're going to do... nope. I want to do a paste right? Yes. Okay. Because we don't want to alter the file size, so... Did I make a mistake? Oh, I did make a mistake. We need to go from there. Bam. So now we have 027A4. And there we go. Oh, and then there's the very last strap, which is 02AB98, and that starts there. We can paste over that as well. And there. And now we've edited our timings to all be 1375. So now, if we overclock the GPU past 1500 megahertz again, we won't randomly lose a bunch of performance. Just going to save that, and hopefully I'm going to flash this and it's going to work. Don't bother saving that. We did edit the BIOS version, right? So unfortunately, this guide isn't quite as like clear as it probably should be, but hopefully you get the idea, right? You find the timing strap, which you would do from the memory speed. It's easiest probably, and then we make sure that we don't have GPU-Z or any other monitoring software running. Like, this is really important. If you have some random monitoring software running that accesses the GPU, and you try to flash a BIOS, you can potentially corrupt the BIOS flash process. You're going to have a bad day at the end of that. So now we're going to just run our flash. And this is, like, the fact that these are blank is normal because we screwed up the version string, so it, like, ATI flash doesn't know what to do with it. But it tells us that everything programmed. Now if we run GPU-Z, GPU-Z will check the BIOS when it starts, and you can see that we now have my horrible version string added right there, so we can see that the BIOS actually flashed. Not that the whole thing is, like, actually has integrity, but that we did put something on the GPU, and who knows, maybe now I'm going to hit restart and this isn't going to work. Also, I'm not sure why it takes Windows so long to restart. And if you're wondering about doing, like, more than just, like, copy-pasting existing memory timing straps around, then there are actually, like, decode programs out there, because that string right there that we were copy-pasting around for the memory timings, That's an actual, like, those are encoded values. So there's a reason why that doesn't look like any set of timings you've ever seen. They're encoded. So there is community-made decode programs out there. I've just not bothered to look into them too much because for me, most of the time, like for my needs with benching, it's just like copy pasting around existing straps is generally enough to get the edge over most other people when it comes to benchmark scores. So yeah, it's not like I'm not aware of anybody running like super. Well, actually, no. There are a few people who might have like better timings, but in a lot of cases, it's just like, well, you can throw liquid nitrogen at it, and then it doesn't matter if they have timings or not. So like the performance uplift of this, there is limited. It doesn't scale infinitely. So we're still at the same settings as last time. So remember last time we ran Firestrike, we got a 8,400 something at the current settings, right? And at 1490 we were getting like 8,600. So now if we run this, we should still get like 8,600, maybe 8,700. Also, do keep in mind that when you swap the memory timing straps around like this, you will potentially harm your maximum memory frequency because you are tightening the memory timings, right? This strap is meant for 1375 megahertz. So for all I know, the previous strap could have gone up to like 1800 megahertz maybe, but now we're limited to wherever this strap tops out. So you may want to, if you're really messing around with this a lot and you're trying to maximize your scores, you're going to want to like balance your timing strap versus how much memory clock you can actually get, because at some point the strap is going to be so tight that it's not going to let you clock as high. And especially with GPUs, your main priority most of the time is going to be just raw memory bandwidth, and that's pretty heavily reliant on having a lot of clock speed. So like it doesn't like on a GPU, it generally doesn't make sense to run a super tight memory timing if you lose a whole bunch of memory frequency to it. Unless you're on some GPUs like say an R9 290X where you have a 512-bit memory controller and it's just like, well, the thing is so wide, it doesn't matter at that point how high it's clocked because it's so damn wide. But if you're on something with a lower, like if you have something with a skinnier memory interface, then you don't really want to go sacrifice frequency just to get some uber tight timings, because you may not end up with, your goal is to maximize bandwidth. And we don't need to run this. Oh yeah, see, and now we get 8,750. So the GPU does scale with... Wait, I can break my own... Ooh, I might be able to break 8,000. So... We're going to see if I can break 8,000 right now. Going to go up to like... Because I actually like... So if we go into GPU-Z right now and we check the timing straps. Alright. So... we go memory timings and we go to our LPDA timings. You can now see that the strap from 1375 megahertz all the way up till 1750... we're going to be using the same timings. So now I can raise the frequency as high as I like, and as long as it's stable, we're not changing, the timings won't change. And potentially, you can also mess around with like copying in, you could potentially mess around with using things like the 1250 megahertz strap and putting that to 1375, 1500, 1625, 1750, right? As copying it over all of those, and then you would get potentially, like, assuming that doesn't lower your maximum memory clock, you might get even more performance, but, we're obviously not going to mess around with that here right now, so I'm just going to go to, like, 1550. I'm not sure that this is going to be stable. In the future for this card, I do actually plan to, like, I want to mod the memory voltage on this card, because right now I think it's set to like 1.5 and LPDA VRAM sometimes scales a little bit. At least on my 290X it does, and this uses the same memory IC as the 290X did. So at least I think it's the same IC as the 290X is. And so if the 290X scaled with voltage, this should scale with voltage. And actually I think the 290X is on like 1250 megahertz timing strap. So yeah, I could probably run the 1250 megahertz timing strap at like 1.6 volts and still do like 1600 megahertz memory clock, or 1.7 volts, something like that. I can't remember right now. Doesn't really matter. Let's go break 8,000. The current record for the R9 270X on well, just for Firestrike is like 7,985 points, and it belongs to me. So now we're gonna go smash that score. Because previously I was stuck at like 1490 megahertz because I was trying to, on the memory, because I was avoiding the high, like the loose memory straps that are above 1500 megahertz. So yeah, and if you think you have a faster 270X, or you just want to beat me for no apparent reason, you can just copy, like, you can copy this methodology, and as long as you didn't, like, you know, disable most of your, disable almost half of your card's VRM, you should be able to beat me, because currently we're only we're limited to like 1200, like I'm here limited to like 1210 core clock, because the reference PCB for a 7870 or a 7850 or a 270X or a 270 for all of these cards is actually a pretty decent 5-phase VRM. There's just one little issue. My card has only 3 phases working. And like, there's a good reason for why there's only 3 phases working, but I don't have any way of fixing it, like getting 5 phases work. Like, as of right now, I can't get 5 phases back up and running. There's some stuff I need to get to do that. And so for now, I'm stuck with a card that can't really do over 1200 megahertz. But if you have a 270X, and actually we can see some memory artifacting, so yeah, it probably needs a bit more voltage. But if you have a 270X where you don't have random VRM issues like I had with this one, you can probably hit like 1300 megahertz for Firestrike. Like, these cards, small die GCN GPUs clock really high. So yeah, even on just air cooling. Oh, I don't have the fan speed maxed out. I'm dumb. I should have maxed out the fan speed on the GPU. That's possibly, like, that's the other thing, is like the memory can scale a little bit with operating temperature, so it's probably not very pleased that we're running at only 50% instead of 100. The core clock also, like, the core also scales a bit with temperature, so... Oh, damn, this score is going to be good. Yeah, this is going to be way over 8,000. Ta-da! Come on, get a move on. Yeah, way over 8,000. Oh, damn, that's a huge increase. So yeah, that's like plus 200 extra points for just by fixing the memory timings, essentially. So yeah, that's the basic procedure, right? You get GPU-Z, you go into GPU-Z, you don't actually bother copying the strap from here because it's evidently not full. So you go to your memory timings, you figure out which memory chips you have, right? Which you can check right here. Go to your memory timings, and then you just locate the strap in the BIOS, which you just, well, I mean, I just showed you. Just watch the video slower until you get it, over and over. Yeah, because I'm not sure how else to how better to explain this. That's really all there is to this. All right, you get your hex editor, you stick your BIOS in there, and then you go CTRLF. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna search for the ending of that. So that's what, 273311. And we go hex 273011. That should work. Yeah. So this time it found it. Okay. So I guess I just grabbed the part of the middle of the value, which was wrong. So yeah, and then you can see like F0, like that right there is a frequency. If we convert that from, you know, hex, grab the calculator. So if we go hex, so we read that 0249F0. that's how you read that value back. So we go 0 to 49. Are we in hex? Where's F? F0. And you can see that's 1500 megahertz because that's 1500 and then the 2 extra zeros. I don't know why there's the 2 extra zeros. It's just a thing. So, yeah. And then after that, we have, you know, the same strap. And if we potentially wanted to use the 1250 megahertz strap, well, okay, so this is our 1500 megahertz. Right, that goes to there. This, we remember from last time, was, that's our 1375 strap. And then before that, you know, up until 77. So that's nice, is like you can tell where the strap ends from the 77 and the next speed is right there. So that right there is the 1250 megahertz timing strap. So if we wanted to, we could CTRL-C and then CTRL-B from there. So we'd go to here, and then we go paste right, because if you paste right, it overwrites the existing values, so it doesn't change the actual file size. So, yeah, and that's really important, because if you just paste regularly, it'll give you this warning that you're changing the file size, and well, basically you're going to break the entire BIOS if you change the file size and try to flash it again, because it's going to offset everything, and, like, you're going to make a mess. So you want to overwrite the existing timings, right? So we're not going to do that. So yeah, that's all there is to it, and I guess I need to screenshot this score, because it is better than my previous one. So gonna put that here. Get CPU Z, get GPU Z, CPU Z twice, because this is for hardware bot rules. And for hardware bot rules, we all, like, I'm not running tessellation if you're wondering why the score's so high. It's like, yeah, there. See, tessellation off, because this is hardware bot rules, and hardware bot rules say you can disable tessellation for Firestrike, so there we go. The horrifically imbalanced system of mid-range ancient GPU plus 9900K. Make a screenshot, and yeah, so that's, I'll upload that later today, and I guess thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comment section below. Yeah, hopefully you found this useful, and if you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking, I have a Patreon, and I also have a, there's also merch on Teespring. Both of those help out the channel immensely. You can find links to both of those down in the description below, and I really do appreciate it if, you know, if you like what I put out, if you, you know, used one of those. So yeah, I should stop the video at this point, so goodbye.